On the evening of January the 6th, 1981, we friars in procession brought to the Basilica Friary the coffin, or better, the two coffins, one inside the other, that contain St. Anthony's mortal remains. The candle flames, the scent of the incense, the singing first of the Te Deum and then of the Magnificat transported us back to the time when Anthony was still alive. This was clear above all by the emotion etched in the faces of all of us present, because we felt deeply that Anthony was walking beside us. This moment, unfortunately, didn't last long, because after the short journey along this cloister, the remains were taken to the so-called Bishop's Hall. St. Anthony's mortal remains were laid on a large table specially prepared in this room before the members of the Pontifical Commission. Here, the two other red silk bundles found inside the smaller coffin were also open. One contained organic matter which time reduced to ash, while the other is Franciscan habit. Of course, the jawbone and the left forearm were missing from the skeleton because, as we have seen, they had been removed by Saint Bonaventure during the first recognition in 1263. From this moment till the end of January, the saint's body remained in this room and was carefully examined and rearranged by a team of anatomists and pathologists from the universities of Padua and Pisa. With intense work, several examinations were completed, and these have enabled us to gain a better understanding of our saint. It was soon clear that all the bones belonged to the same person, and that the jawbone preserved in the reliquary of the chin in the chapel of the Relics matched perfectly with the skull found in the coffin. The scientists, however, were struck by something really odd. To their amazement, parts of the vocal apparatus were still preserved and were recognizable after almost 800 years. These were the vocal cords and the hyoid bones, Adam's apple, in the larynx region. This discovery led them to think that the whole vocal system was still intact when St. Bonaventure discovered St. Anthony's incorrupt tongue in 1263. Given the extraordinary nature of this finding, it was decided to place these precious relics in a new reliquary, and an artist from Treviso, Carlo Bagliana, was asked to create it. And so here we are once again in the Chapel of Relics in front of Carlo Bagliana's 1981 reliquary containing the saint's vocal apparatus. As you can see, the reliquary in silver and gold is in the form of a book, and at the corners are the symbols of the four evangelists. From the pages of the book, a flame emerges, in the center of which there is a crystal sphere containing the relics. As we know, the relics comprise the hyoid bone and two vocal cords. The reliquary thus presents itself as a hymn to the great gift of speech that Anthony had received from God. The Franciscan friar who wrote the saint's first biography, the Assidua, attested to the fact that the saints really knew how to speak to people. He tells us that when Anthony preached, the crowd remained in total silence, and even though the multitude could reach 3,000 people, you could hear a pin drop. Shopkeepers, eager to listen to him, did not even open their shops, and women, in the ardor of their devotion, brought with them scissors and then tried to cut off a piece of his Franciscan habit as a relic. On September the 12th, 1982, on the occasion of his pastoral visit to the city of Padua, St. John Paul II prayed long before the relics of St. Anthony, and during the homily at the solemn Mass he celebrated at the Basilica, he said, His preaching was not a declamation or limited to a vague exhortation to lead a good life. He really intended to proclaim the gospel, knowing that Christ's words possessed a force that penetrated listeners. Let us therefore gather in prayer before these relics that unite us to St. Anthony. Dear St. Anthony, you who dedicated your whole life to the salvation of Christians and to the return of unbelievers to God, help those dear to us to rediscover lost faith and return to the joy of friendship with God. Amen.